So what's it like going from 60 to 72 volts on the Sur-Ron X?
50 miles per hour. Yeah, that acceleration, man.
Woo! That's coming right up. Hey everyone, my name is Rick Cordero. Welcome to RunPlayBack, where we help you with video and tech tips to lead a more efficient and affordable lifestyle. Let's be creative and save money at the same time. Today we're going to check out ChiBatterySystems 72-volt, 38.25 amp hour Gladiator X battery for the Sur-Ron X. We'll talk about the power, speed, and range of the 72-volt Gladiator, and then test it out on the road. So let's get to it. Why would you want 72 volts and 38.25 amp hours on the Sur-Ron X? Well, basically that means you get 2,754 watt hours with a range that can vary widely depending on where and how you like to ride. But generally, the larger the watt hours, the longer the range. And since we've upgraded our controller to an ASI BAC4000, using this battery will not be an issue. Here it is, Greenline Engineering ASI BAC4000. This is the controller. We'll also be able to use our ChiBatterySystems Gladiator 72-volt battery. That was the main reason to upgrade the controller, because we wanted to go to 72 volts. This looks like the plug-and-play harness, really neat. You got it shrink wrapped over here. Motor phase wire extension cables. This looks like the regen brake thumb throttle, and basically you can brake electronically instead of wearing out the brake pads. So in the stock controller, regen was connected directly to the hydraulic brakes. So to be able to kind of choose how you want to brake is pretty cool. Version 2 egg rider display, and we just have some hardware, and I believe these are some custom 3D printed mounts, top and bottom. So this mounts the highest on the bike to avoid water, mud, dirt, and debris. Can't wait to install this thing. There is a very thorough walkthrough that Greenline Engineering created on YouTube. So we won't actually go through the whole installation process because it is really involved. We also have our ChiBatterySystem 72-volt Gladiator X coming this week. So we want to get this installed before the battery arrives. So yeah, let's do this.
One debt to society later.
This actually took a lot longer than we had imagined it would take. Not because of the install video, because that video is actually really helpful. I think the hardest thing is actually organizing all the wires so that the controller flips up and this back plate flips in. You have to hide a lot of the wires in here. So I kept messing with it to make sure that nothing was getting pinched and all the wires were properly organized. So our ChiBatterySystem 72-volt Gladiator X arrives tomorrow. And so we're gonna pop it in here, install it. This is the egg rider right here. This is the regen braking. Really looking forward to the functions of this controller. I'm really hoping that it'll wake the bike up a little bit. I think the stock controller, or maybe the throttle, just felt a little bit delayed or a little bit sluggish. Hopefully this gives it more of a torque throttle instead of a speed throttle. We'll get the battery, get that installed, and then try it out. All right, new package just arrived from ChiBatterySystems, our Gladiator X 72 volt for the Sur-Ron X. ChiBatterySystems has custom tape. Got a lot of foam peanuts in here. You gotta be careful because puppy's here and we don't want her to eat any of this stuff. So I believe this is the variable charger. Has the QC Pass sticker on it. This is the variable charger. Got your ChiBatterySystem stickers. You'll notice it has the same Sur-Ron X factory connectors. 72 volt hardware. Since the battery sits a little bit higher on the bike, they supply you with these brackets to extend the lid a little bit higher. Kind of heavy, it feels like it's about 30 pounds or so. X 72 volts. So just on first glance, the quality of this battery is really, really nice. You have the Sur-Ron X factory battery connector here, factory charging port in the same location as the stock battery. You also have this switch. Definitely got to charge it before we use it. It has the rubber coating over here for water and weather resistance. The 3D printed top with the ChiBattery's logo right here. And you have this strap for carrying. So next we'll install the Gladiator X hardware, put the battery in, and test it with our new controller. Before we ride, let's talk about the specs. The battery is about 15.5 inches tall by 5 inches wide by 6 inches long with a weight of about 29 pounds. The pack uses one of the most sought after cells on the market, which is the A Moly cell 21700 cell volt. It features a 270 amp continuous discharge and a 405 amp peak discharge with BMS bypass and overcharge protection. The connections use the standard Sur-Ron X battery connector and charging port. As far as the charger goes, we opted for the ChiBatterySystems 72 volt Sur-Ron variable rapid charger. As big fans of the Grintex satiator, we love the option of full control to set up optimal charging scenarios for the Gladiator. There's 5 charging modes, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 amps, along with charge targets of 80, 90, and 100%. Most lithium batteries are capable of vastly improved cycle life if they're charged slowly and not fully charged to saturation all the time. Other features on the Gladiator X include stock lid extension hardware, a backlit percent display, a reinforced handle for easy carrying, a rubber exterior, and cell-level fusing to significantly reduce the chance of catastrophic failure. Here's a little more detail about that from ChiBatterySystems.
One of the main things we do in like Gladiator per se is we start off with our cell level fusing. So a cell level fusing is each individual cell has a fuse on it.
If there is any sort of puncture or any sort of physical damage to the battery, we can isolate that problem to just a small segment of the battery. It's not a silver bullet by any means, but it should help to reduce any significant failures.
Then we do more subtle things like we are putting, rubber on the inside and the outside of the battery to ensure that if it comes in contact with water, that water, one, can't get into the battery, and if it manages to get into the battery, we then have protection on the inside to keep it isolated.
So the big question is, should you go for the 60 volt or 72 volt Gladiator? First, let's go over all the Gladiator variants that ChiBatterySystems provides. If you plan to keep the stock controller, the Gladiator R will give you the most range and can produce up to twice the power. But to unlock that extra power, you need an aftermarket controller. So let's say you've upgraded the controller to something like the ASI BAC4000. The Gladiator 60 volt and 60 volt X can be tuned to give up to 5 times the power to give you maximum power potential. Now, do you actually need all that power? Well, that really depends on your personal preferences and variables like weight, terrain, and distance. Finally, should you go for the 60 volt or 72 volt Gladiator X? Well, if you've already upgraded your controller and plan to keep all aspects of your drivetrain the same, you'll not get any significant top speed increase going from one 60 volt battery to another 60 volt battery. We chose 72 volts because of our experience and comfort level with the Onyx RCR and our modded 72 volt Super 73 Z1. Also, our style of riding is urban commuting downtown within a distance of 5 miles, so range is never really an issue. So now that we've covered the specs, let's mount everything on the Sur-Ron X. Let's look at the size difference between the stock Sur-Ron battery and the Gladiator X. You could see kind of similar. This one sits a little bit higher. Just the weight is obviously a little heavier because there's more cells. Now, just in terms of placement, very similar. The charging port sits on the left side. Same thing on the stock Sur-Ron battery. The port is actually integrated into the top of the lid here, but with the Gladiator, there's a little bit of an extension, so this can reach the power port on the bike side. And then this harness connector port you don't actually need when you install the ASI BAC4000. So you see that we have the hardware installed to make the lid sit a little bit higher. So other than that modification, there's really nothing else you need to do to the bike to make this thing fit. It just slides in just like that. Now this is a little bit of a tight fit, putting this connector on, but it fits just like that. You could have it sit kind of underneath the lid so nothing gets caught over here. Just like that. And you can see over here the display is actually visible. And so when I turn that on, you can see the percentage. The only kind of issue here is that you can't really reach the fuse to turn the fuse on. I have a little pen to just reach that little switch and turn it on like that. It's kind of tricky to get in there with the height of this battery. Now, one thing I want to mention is that I actually had an issue with the ASI BAC4000 because I didn't plug in the 12 volt power port into the step down, and that was something that I missed. I had no idea what was wrong. So I reached out to Greenline Engineering and they hit me up really quick through email, and they actually got on a FaceTime call with me to diagnose the problem, which was a quick 5-minute fix. But they were really, really good in terms of customer service. Really quick, super responsive, super helpful. So other than my own like kind of user error, the installation of the Greenline Engineering ASI BAC4000 was really, really good. So highly recommended, definitely support them. In the next video, we'll kind of play with their app when it launches and a couple other upgrades that they're going to introduce soon. So now let's test out the Greenline Engineering BAC4000 paired with ChiBatterySystems 72 volt Gladiator X and see how it rides. Let's turn on the egg rider display. Now, Greenline Engineering actually configures the egg rider settings based on what you send them. And I did go into the app and everything matched up to my 72 volt setup. Right now, it's on power level 3. There's 9 levels. And we'll just see what 3 feels like. So, feels pretty good. It just feels smoother, I think. Let's put it up to 5. Yeah, definitely way more power at 72 volts. You definitely feel the torque really kick in there. Yeah, way more power. We'll kick it up to maybe 7. We don't want to go too crazy, but see what 7 feels like. So, first impressions are that the bike is way more powerful. Now, I'm familiar with 72 volts with the Onyx, as well as our converted 72 volt Super 73 Z1. This, on the other hand, feels a little bit more powerful because of the mid-drive motor. It's pretty serious. It's definitely a lot more power than I had imagined, but it's also cool that you can dial it down. Let's try 6, see what that feels like. All right, 6. Yeah, super fast. Yeah, really, really nice. Definitely a cool upgrade. It definitely wakes the bike up. I think the tune from Greenline Engineering is really, really good. Now let's take the 72 volt Gladiator X out on the streets.
So let's talk about the power. First off, the throttle response is way, way smoother. And I believe it's the ASI BAC4000 and probably the tune that Greenline Engineering did. If I had to guess, I would say that the throttle response is just maybe 20 to 30% stronger than the stock controller and even the stock battery. It's just, you know, I'm on level 3 right now, and it's just super smooth and it's super responsive. Acceleration is really nice. I'll bump it up to like 6. Okay, it's at 6. Power level 6, and yeah, acceleration is really, really quick. One thing I noticed on the stock controller was that the throttle response had a bit of a delay. And I have the stock Sur-Ron X throttle, so I wasn't sure if it was the electronic throttle or the controller, and I think it definitely is the stock controller that gives the throttle a delay. So really love the improved throttle on this thing. And I also have this regen brake that Greenline Engineering supplied, so we'll try that. Okay, I'm going to try the regen. Very smooth. Yeah, very nice. I think the level is set to maybe 20% or 10 to 20%. I forgot where it's set at, but yeah, it is super smooth. Saves your brake pads. Yeah, I dig it. It feels quieter as well. I think the controller, like I said, has field-oriented control, so it's really just putting more efficient volts into the motor. So I think that's why it's quieter. And apologies for the wind. It is about 30 degrees right now in November in Michigan. So not the best time to be doing this. But I definitely wanted to get this test ride with the Gladiator and the BAC4000 before it gets too cold. In terms of the 72 volts versus 60 volts, it's very, very noticeable. I think most people get the 60 volt Gladiator because they want that range, but man, the 72 volts on this thing is super sweet. So I'm really just touching the surface of how powerful this setup is right now. And you know, I'm also being very cautious. I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with this setup before I really go all out with it. It's also super cold, and I just feel like I ride better when it's warmer outside. Like even though I have gloves on, my fingers are starting to get pretty cold, as well as my knees. Now, right now I'm using regen braking. The terrain right now is kind of rough. There's some potholes here, some dirt. I do have the 19-inch stock Sur-Ron knobby tires on right now. I feel more comfortable with these tires when going off-road. Okay, we're gonna do just a quick speed test. I don't think we're gonna go too crazy, but I have the power level set at 8 right now. There's a lot of amazing top speed videos on YouTube that'll push the maximum amount of power and kilowatts into this motor, but I'm not gonna go too crazy. All right. Go around this corner right here. All right, here we go. 2, 6, 50 miles per hour at level 8. Oh my god. Yeah, that's pretty fast. I think I would probably bump it up to go faster, maybe with the smaller sprocket and smaller wheels, and maybe put more power in the egg rider, but that's good enough for me. You definitely feel that torque. Definitely feel that torque, 100%. Whew. That felt nice. Level 8. Woo. Man. Yeah, 72 volts is really, really nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, I highly recommend upgrading to 72 volts with this Gladiator X 72 volt battery, Greenline Engineering, ASI BAC4000. Very, very nice setup. Again, you could tune it if you want to go faster, but honestly, 50 miles per hour, that's a sweet spot. Woo! Freezing out here, it's freezing. Why am I doing this? It's November in Michigan. Ah! Oh my God. Oh my God, freezing cold. All right, we're gonna turn. We'll make our turn over here. So like I said, you can tune the Sur-Ron to go a little bit faster, but just remember that, you know, when you're going that fast, when you're going full speed on 72 volts, you can burn out your motor. So just be aware. I think the tune on the GLE controller is just right. Perfect for me. I don't need any more. So let's talk a little bit about the range. I believe you get 40 miles on the stock Sur-Ron with the stock battery. With the 72 volt Gladiator X, you know, it's going to vary depending on, you know, the terrain, your weight, your speed, how much you're throttling. So it's hard to say exactly how much range you're going to get out of this setup. Now with the Gladiator 60 volt R, which is the range variant that ChiBatterySystems offers, I believe you get double the range, but you don't get that 72 volt power. And that's where I think, you know, if you're used to 72 volt systems, that's where this thing shines. I would say that compared to the Onyx right now, this thing can definitely take an Onyx off the line. Now, depending on if the Onyx is tuned up to like sicko mode, I think the Onyx would take it in terms of like top speed. I think the Onyx would pull out ahead, but in terms of off the line, I think the Sur-Ron has just an amazing amount of torque right off the line on 72 volts. And it's really fun. I think this thing is super responsive now. And you just, you're able to kind of just like zip through any situation, which I love. Now, the style of riding that I do in my city is not really, 40 plus miles per hour on these streets. Most of these streets here are 25, 30, 35. I'm kind of near downtown. So there's really no need for me to be hitting top speeds for a long period. But just like these little increments of burst of speed is really nice. It feels really good. I actually feel safer because, you just want to be able to kind of like get out of a sticky situation sometimes. And again, the regen braking, man, is so cool. Super cool. Now, I do have the stock brakes, but I did upgrade the pads to the Shimano metal pads. But you can hear on the front brake, you hear that squeak. Rear brake doesn't have that squeak, but it doesn't give the amount of stopping power as the regen. Now, I've tried the regen on the Gruntech Phase Runner, and it's pretty good. I don't think I've really tuned it enough for me to feel super comfortable with it. But it's fine for most people. But this regen is just, the ASI regen is just really, really nice. Yeah, that acceleration, man. Woo! Oh my God. So nice. I'm really happy with the 72 volt Gladiator. I think I would have regretted going down to 60. I think I would have wanted that extra power at 72 volts. So really happy that I chose this. So I'm going to check the voltage. I'm at 50%. So I think I was at 70% when we first rode, and down to 50. So going at those speeds will kill your battery. I don't think I would be doing a lot of 50 mile per hour runs, honestly. I'd probably be keeping it between 30 and 40. I was also at power level 8. I think maybe 6 or 7 is probably the sweet spot for me. Highly recommend this battery, this controller. Shout out to ChiBatterySystems. Shout out to Greenline Engineering.
Overall, we're really impressed with the quality of the 72 volt Gladiator X. ChiBatterySystems is an industry leader in the light electric vehicle world, and be sure to check out our last video where we discussed their rapid growth, latest products, as well as getting a full tour of their facility. It's a really cool look at one of the best US-based PEV battery manufacturers out there. So if you're looking for a high-quality battery with exceptional customer service, ChiBatterySystems 72 volt Gladiator X is a solid recommend. If you want to dive into more video and tech tips, click the links on the side, and remember to like and subscribe so we can help you find tech deals that fit your lifestyle. We'll see you guys in the next video.